You know, folks, there's one thing in this world that I will never fully understand, and that is Maga's constant desire to punch down at those who are less fortunate than they are. And we have seen that more in the last few weeks since the government shut down and since we learned that SNAP benefits wouldn't be going out to families. We have seen Maga go back to one of their oldest Republican talking points, which is punch down at the poor and make them feel guilty. And let's put under a microscope everything that they buy. The most disgusting posts that I see on social media are the ones that says, well, they can afford to get a new tattoo, or they can afford to get their nails done, or they can afford to have a cell phone. Why are they getting a steak with their EBT card? When I see posts like that, I just know that I never want anything to do with a person like that in my life ever. I don't want to have a beer with them. I don't want to hang out with them. I don't want to play music with them. I don't want to be friends with them. They can fuck all the way off. And I think it's very important that as we go forward, we always call out that behavior, not just for being a bully, but for being a coward. It's cowardice behavior. They punch down at people that's less fortunate while they sit and worship and look up to people like Elon Musk, who sucks the government tit harder than anyone else. And I just think that it's very important that we sit and point out just how cowardly it is to always be punching down at those who are less fortunate. We're headed into the holidays. It's been a rough year on everybody, whether they want to admit it or not. And we're headed into the holiday of Thanksgiving, which is a day that we're supposed to get together with our families and be thankful that we're still here for another one. And there are people out there who are struggling to figure out how to pay for that dinner. And then they get on their Facebook and they see people punching down at them and making fun of them for needing a little bit of help to get over the finish line to get that dinner for them and their family. And the thing about it is, these posts that people makes on social media, the Elon Musk of the world don't give a shit. If he was to see it, he's just going to find it humorous. He doesn't give a shit because it doesn't affect him. The only people seeing it are the people beneath you that you're punching down at, and they realize just how you think of them, and they see you criticizing their shopping list. And then you had the food stamp lady over on TikTok sitting and munching toast and making fun of people and saying, what'd you do with last month's food? And the first thought that went through my head was, well, you know, working poor people, we eat food. That's what we do with it. But now she's dialing it back over there. She's trying to apologize and say that she never meant to hurt nobody. No, what she never expected to happen was for it to backfire the way that it did and for people to stand up to her the way that they did. And that's what happens when you stand up to bullies, and that's what happens when you call out cowards. But here we are heading into a holiday where everyone is supposed to be thankful for getting to live another year and getting to sit down with their families. But then we have people punching down at people who aren't going to be able to afford their dinner. And then we're going to roll into a holiday called Christmas, where we're supposed to be celebrating the birth of a man named Jesus Christ, who was all about giving to the poor, who was all about lifting people up, who was all about feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, giving the thirsty something to drink. And I have looked the Bible up one side and down the other. Now, I totally disregard the Old Testament because it's one of the most cruel books that was ever written, and I would never bow my knee to a God like that, but that's beside the point. When you get up into the words in red of Jesus Christ, I have yet to see any scripture where he criticized the poor and said, what are you buying with the money that you got? I can't find that in Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. I don't know if it was in one of the lost gospels that didn't make it, but I don't ever remember there being a time where they said, hey, Jesus, these people over here are hungry. And he said, well, how did they afford a new shirt? Why have they got a new shirt on? I don't ever remember Jesus doing that. But we're headed into a holiday where we're supposed to be celebrating his birth, a man who was all about peace and love and acceptance and welcoming people in and lifting people up. And yet we have a group of people who worships a man who absolutely goes against everything that Jesus Christ ever taught. They've made Donald Trump the new face of Christianity. And that's why people that I know who are Christians, that's why a whole lot of them don't go to churches, especially in my part of the world. They don't go to churches around here because they don't want to hear the gospel of Donald Trump, because they realize the gospel of Donald Trump is nothing but cruelty. It's nothing but bigotry. It's nothing but hatred. It's nothing but every phobia in the world. They realize what it is and they see through it. But the world, in the words of Sturgill Simpson, you know, life ain't fair and the world is mean. It really is. Life ain't fair and the world is mean. And so all we're ever trying to do over on our side is just make sure that people have just a little bit more of a fair shake in this world. We're not trying to give people handouts. We would just like to see them have a better hand to play in this world. And we would like to see people make it. And we would like to see people thrive. And do I feel one lick of sympathy for a billionaire? None whatsoever. I do not give two shits if they get taxed into oblivion. I do not give a fuck, because I'm a person who don't even think that a billionaire should be a thing. If you're sitting there on that much wealth in this world and you're just sitting there holding it and hoarding it and putting your offices in the Cayman Islands so you don't have to pay taxes, you never hear anybody get mad at those people. All the people that avoids paying taxes, you never hear anybody punching up at those people. It's always punching down at the person that gets a bag of fudge rounds. Actually, it's a box of fudge rounds, but you know what I'm saying. Those are the people that they want to punch down at. And when they do so, I just say to myself, you're a coward. You ain't got the courage to punch up at the people that's making your life worse. And no matter how hard you try, and no matter how much you chase after that carrot, you're never going to be at one of the great Gatsby parties that Donald Trump has. You're sitting there trying to figure out how to pay for Natty Light while he has a woman in a champagne glass. And it's sickening to me to see people look up to a man like that. But what's even more sickening to me, I understand that he just brings out all their hatred and empowers them to be racist assholes. I get that. But to sit and punch down at people who are beneath you, especially when last year you were complaining about the price of food and saying you couldn't make it. Everybody was saying that. Donald Trump got elected, what was it, November 5th of 2024? Right then, I saw so many people saying, at least we'll get cheaper eggs. At least our life will be easier. And they completely stopped talking about grocery prices. They stopped it. That was it. The conversation was over. Go back to bed, America. Your government's in control, to quote Bill Hicks. They just all went back to bed and slept on it. And then they wake up a year later. Prices aren't down. Their life ain't any easier. They're still struggling, living hand-to-mouth just like they always was. And instead of saying, hey, you know what? We voted for this guy because he said he was going to bring the prices down, and they didn't come down. They don't say that. Instead of saying, hey, you know what? We voted for this guy to drain the swamp and expose the deep state, but he's protecting the pedophiles. They don't say that. Instead, they take a shot down at somebody in front of them with an EBT card, and they sit there and they be judgmental assholes toward that person. Oh, what are you buying with it? Is that processed food? Did you buy fudge rounds? Did you buy your kid cupcakes? They're arrogant, self-centered, racist, bigoted pricks who I do not ever want to sit down with. I'm willing to give anyone a bridge back. I say this all the time. I'm willing to give anyone a bridge back to the side of common sense, of logic, of reason, of sympathy, of empathy. I'm willing to welcome those people back. But when they come back, they have to leave all that bullshit at the door. They don't get to bring that with them. They don't get to pollute our side with it. They don't get to bring that toxic attitude at our table. It's not welcome at our table. They're welcome at our table the minute they leave all that garbage in the trash. Then, hey, you can come over here. We'll give you a bridge back. But even if we give you a bridge back, and even if you sit at my table, just know I don't want to exchange Christmas cards anytime soon, and it's going to take a long time to get over this bullshit, because for the last 10 years, we've done nothing but be gaslit by you fucks who have sat and told us that we didn't see what we think we saw and didn't hear what we thought we heard. And all we've seen is people struggle even harder. All we've seen is the billionaire class do even better. And every time we called it out, we got told that we didn't really see it, we didn't really hear it, we were just taking it out of context. Well, let me give you the context. Americans have been struggling our entire lives. When's the last time we even had a good economy? Can anyone remember that? Was it the 90s? Is that it? Is that the last memory that any of us has of an economic boom? Because my oldest son is 25 years old. He doesn't ever remember a good economy. He doesn't ever remember America thriving, because it's not happened. We've just had one broken promise after another. And then we've had people look over at someone like Donald Trump and think that he had their best interest at heart. And that disgusts me more than anything. You can say whatever the hell you want to about the Democratic Party. You can think whatever you want to think about them, and I can criticize them right along with you. But you take the absolute worst Democrat, whoever that is, I'm not going to say you all decide, but you take the worst one out there, and that person still went to bat for you 10 times harder than Donald Trump ever did. And it's just sickening to me that they sit here and punch down at people at a time like this. Just know, When I see you punching down, you're not a person that I ever want to sit down with and have a conversation or a beer. Would I help you if you were in need? Yeah. Would I help you out of a ditch if you were stuck? Yeah. Would I give you this shirt off my back? Here, take it. Take the fucking thing. You can have the damn shirt there. Take it. I'll give it to you. But when this is all over, I'm not going to be giving you a Christmas card because of the bullshit that you've put people through. I cannot stomach watching these people punch down. And I'm not apologizing for getting worked up either, because I think more of us needs to. We need to always call these people out for the cowards that they truly are.